And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to round number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge here at Road America. I'm SSR Mayhem, also known as Steve, bringing you tonight's live action here in what has been a nice little week break from the first round of the championship won by ESV Barcode, going for the three-peat, defending his title as he had gone head-to-head in the first week against Dex McGezin, who was very strong early on. Barcode edging him out in qualifying. McGezin able to take the lead early, but trouble in the early moments of the race as McGezin would go around. Barcode would move on. McGezin would have to fight from way back in the pack. Well, we say way back, but we'll say like 6th, 7th in the back to finish second overall in a recovery race for him. And Barcode would go on to win at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Now it's round 2 after a week of a break as the Toro Enduro was happening last week. We at MEA decided to take a weekend off to kind of make it easier for the drivers so that no one had to really push the limits and try to coordinate the two together. So we're back after that, and tonight it's the Porsche 963, or I might have just absolutely butchered what I was saying there, but that's okay. Yes, the Porsche 963. I just want to make sure I had that right. It's a stock run tonight. There's no real tuning to these cars. It's very little. I think they can mess with the aero and dynamics such as that. I think F1R Sean, though, had gotten the fastest time in qualifying. I was not able to catch the times completely, so as we prepare for tonight's race, I'll be also kind of figuring out as the lineups get set up and ready to go. Now, we talked about it this past Monday on the MEA Live show. If you haven't been tuning in, Mondays at 4 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States or 10 p.m. in Europe and around the world, MEA has a show. We are 5 episodes into it. We cover every series that's going on here at MEA. We try to cover some things that are outside the series of the organization. And, I got to talk to ESV Bobberts as Adam and I were able to talk about what to expect after the first round of the championship. A few of the drivers, we had 18 to start the first race of the season, down to I believe 12, 13 here tonight. Still decent numbers after a week break. Those little gaps between any rounds of any championship, especially in the Forza community, it could be a little detrimental to some leagues, but we were able to pull in some decent numbers with the exception of about 4 drivers that guaranteed they weren't going to make it tonight. So still good numbers regardless, as we got 4 more weeks to follow after here tonight. And we're going to find out who's going to move the needle, as in the championships, it's ESV leading the team points. However, ESV Bobbert's not here tonight. ESV Pipes is here, but the problem is Pipes cannot collect team points, as the entry for the team was for Bobberts and Barcode, so Pipes will be racing for individual points. Barcode will still be doing both individual and team points, but he'll have a little bit of a struggle after this week, as Bobberts will not be collecting those points. So it looks like the F1R boys will be able to try to jump the gun a little bit. It's F1R right behind them in the championship standings, as F1R Sean and Legrecht both look to take on the ESV squad, and Dexterity with Dex Gatillo and Dex McGezin sitting in the 3rd spot of the overall points, and they might have been able to take second if it wasn't for some problems for both of the drivers. McGezin was able to recover last week, or I should say the first round at Indianapolis. What the problem was is his teammate Gatillo, I believe the team owner of Dexterity, had some early issues as well, struggled quite a bit, had to kind of nurse the tires at the end of the race, and got a 13th place finish. So not what the Dexterity guys want to see, but if you're going to have problems in a championship, you want to have them early, not later into the season. So that was the first round. Definitely something to look back on. Good to move forward. and I'm sure those three squads are going to do everything they can to battle in the team points. However, it's ESV Barcode leading in the individual championship, looking to compete for his third straight MEA Prototype Challenge championship, as he was able to hang on last time with a nice little gap between him and Sean. Sean would eventually have to deal with Megezin. Megezin was able to get by for second, so Sean was able to finish third. And based on qualifying in the best of laps, neither Megezin or Barcode was able to really put on a clinic in qualifying from what I had seen. So, like I said, I do believe that I think it was Pipes and Sean who had the best qualifying times. I don't know if. Again, I didn't have it. I had it in front of me very briefly before I went all in here, commentary-wise. I had pulled it up so you guys can kind of watch a little bit of the qualifying that was going on, but I did not fully view into it. That being said, it should be moments away. We got about 2 minutes till the expected race time of tonight here at Road America. If you are tuned into the stream and you are watching from somewhere out there in the world, at home, at work, whatever you may be, feel free to talk in the chat section. It will be up here tonight once I get loaded up and in. I can fully put a little bit more time looking down into the chat, so feel free to throw some ideas. If you want me to check on certain drivers, definitely let me know. Stay tuned as round number 2 will begin momentarily. So with that being said, we are probably, I should probably get in ready spectate mode. That probably would help everyone out. So 12 drivers will be making the show here tonight, 13 total plus me in the broadcast booth. So with that all being said, who do you guys got winning to tonight's race? Let me know down in the chat. Love to see what you guys think. And I know I haven't been the best since our return to Forza with the communications with you guys and keeping up to date and what's not, but I'm going to do a little bit better job. For those that don't know me very well, if you're just tuning in for the first time or have been kind of a newer viewer looking on for the past couple of series we've done, previously the GT series, I like to keep engagement very minimal, try to keep these streams professional from a broadcast point of view, but I always will engage in your questions, so pay attention when you guys do ask questions down in the chat box. A lot of times I won't directly acknowledge your question, but I will implement it as I'm going on through calling the race, so just always pay attention. Though I might not directly call your name out, I usually will address whatever's put down into the chat. So that being said, we should be rolling out. I believe it's ESV Pipes still yet to get the green bar. A few of the drivers with paint scheme violations. There's a new penalty system that's been implemented here at MEA. If a driver fails to have the correct number and or MEA logo, that is supposed to be present on the car during the racing event, those drivers will receive -5 points per penalty. So those 2 penalties, though they may be small for any driver that's competing for a championship, any points that you lose could be the difference from you winning your first championship, your back-to-back championship, or any possible way to win a title here at MEA. And it looks like we're getting ready to put the lineups in motion. So 13 cars ready to rock and roll here tonight, and we're going to see how they line them all up, as PTG Houseman is the one in control here tonight. ESV Bobberts, as I said already, not able to make the event here tonight. He's out of town. So again, that's going to be a heartbreak for the ESV team and the team points. But on top of that, it is also an opportunity for Ben himself, PTG Houseman, to kind of get into the ropes a little bit of leading the MEA charge. And with JJ Reds also not here tonight, again, that's 2 rounds in a row missed by the AMS driver. A little understaffed here today, but we've been able to make it work. So just bear with us. And I believe, I can't read what was up on the top there. I don't know if it was drivers backing out or, okay, maybe not. Okay, well, we'll have a pace lap here, so we'll get to see how everything lines up. I do believe it was ESV Pipes who had taken the pole position here tonight. So the pace lap will be underway. And here, okay, so there we go. We have a better grip on... Alright, so it was F1R Sean who had stole the show from qualifying. He will lead the field to green here tonight. And it looks like a possible issue. Yes, a loading issue. So they're going to rack them up. Alright, so they're going to have to redo it again. I assume it was a loading issue. Alright, so maybe we should ready up that spectate button. So a loading issue isn't the same as a disconnect. So I'm gonna get confirmation on that here. So they said that pipes had disconnected, so based on that, alright, so they're loading it back up again. Again, I believe it was... Yeah, so maybe Pipes did have the fastest time in qualifying. But we'll figure this all out in a second, guys. Just hang with me. Alright, so, man, loading issues left and right. So it was a loading issue, it wasn't a disconnect following the load in, so that will not implement the restart rule. So as of now, this is still the first and main start of the race. So that's all I needed to confirm with that. So it is ESV Pipes who got the pole position, as again, Pipes has ran a couple races this season, and this is his first pole here in the Prototype Challenge. So definitely something to pay attention to here tonight is with F1R Sean in the second spot, one of the heavy hitters and defending champions. ESV Barco will start third, F1R Legrect will be fourth, and then rounding out your top five is Dex McGezin. And the back half of the top 10, it's PTG Little Caesar, Dex Gatillo, ZR Haya Karenki, and PTG Neb and Houseman rounding out their top 10. Outside the top 10, it's SSR Mosen Hoa, SSR Quinn, and AMS Andrew 14. 13 drivers here scheduled tonight. Alright, so that being said, ESV Pipes is going to lead us to green. And there's a lot of red cars up front. You'd think it's all ESV if you looked at it, but it's not. You have F1R Sean and F1R Greg with some red on the car, but they are not represented by ESV. They are Friends First Racing. So we're going to have to pay real attention to the red and white for ESV, the red for F1R, and then the Dex drivers, you don't got to worry about that because McGezin has a darker car than those two. Alright, so round 2 is about to happen here at MEA in the MEA Prototype Challenge. Once again, this is round number 2 of the championship. ESV Pipes with his first pole ever in MEA. Congratulations to ESV Pipes, taking the top spot in qualifying. F1R Sean, I'm sure he would love to get a win here tonight, as he had a great first round at Indianapolis, had a rough GT series, so you know that he's got a little fire in the belly to have a good result again and possibly the win. You gotta wonder, ESV Barco not getting the fastest time. Same with Dex McGezin. F1R Legrect, I think that's pretty respectful, fourth overall, as we kind of expected him to be a little bit of a factor coming into the championship this season. So here we go as they round the final corner here at Road America. 35 laps to determine round number 2 as Sean and Pipes come up to the starting line. Who is it? Who do you guys got in the chat? Let me know. It should be a fun battle as we go green here at Road America. Pipes leads the way but doesn't get a great start at the line. Sean with a little bit of a nose, getting a roll on the outside, and will take the opening lap's lead. However, that's not going to determine the first lap of the race. ESV Pipes almost loses the car off of turn number 1. It's Barco giving a little push, while meanwhile F1R Legrect to the outside of Barco battling for third. Pipes able to clear both of them, however, Barcode has also cleared Legrect. Dex McGezin back in the 5th spot with PTG Little Caesar 6th. However, back in the pack, SSR Quinn drops down to the 13th spot. Mosen Hoa finds his way back into the top 10. For the first time, actually, I should say. Back in the pack, they're getting a little bit antsy. However, PTG Neb is in trouble! I'm sorry, that's Cranky. Cranky he's in trouble, gets a little bit loose, drops back a couple of spots, goes to the tail of the field. Going back to the front of the pack there, 1 through 5, nose to tail. No one's really made any big advances. No one's put a big gap on nobody, so we're going to sit on defending champion ESV Barcode. Barcode in round number 1 had a battle real hard, and there it goes to an inside pass by F1R. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was Pipes. I'm sorry. I thought that was Legrect. I do apologize. I got a little bit antsy there as those three are under a blanket right now. Sean is taken off, and right in the middle of a sandwich right now, F1R Legrect's trying to get by the two ESV drivers. Legrect looks to the outside of Barcode. Barcode to the inside. Legrect's got a big run to the outside. Falls off the track very wide. Lays off on the gas. Gets back in line behind Barcode. Barcode now trying to get back into Pipes territory as Pipes trying to rebound after not the best start here at Road America. Sean, on the other hand, is about to put about a 1 second gap between him and Pipes. Meanwhile, it's Dex McGezen on the rear bumper of Legrect. Dex McGezen trying to put some pressure now on the F1R driver from Friends First Racing. In the back of the pack, Dex Cadillo has moved up to the 7th spot, teammate of Dexterity. Right now, that's what you want to see if you're McGezen right now. You want your teammate to find his way to the front, battling in the team push. Look at this, it's Dex McGezen to the inside of F1R. Greg, and look, F1R! He gets into the back of the ESV Barcode! Barcode goes around! Big mistake by McGezen there! And Barcode has fallen all the way back to the 10th spot! Definitely something to review following the race. We saw Dex McGezen make a big run to the inside of Legrect. Legrect was able to clear him on the outside as McGezen was going to take over the spot. And meanwhile, Barcode coming down into the turn. McGezen had nowhere to go. Not sure, we didn't have the greatest angle there to see if he had the lane. But Dex McGezen into the back bumper of the defending champion and last week's winner, I should say round 1 winner. Again, once again, that is something that might be talked about falling to today's race, but if you're McGezen, you can't put the brakes on, you can't wait for the guy you took out. You just got to keep on going and hope that nothing comes out of it negative. So as it stands, it's F1R Sean who has led all the laps so far, 2 laps I should say so far in this one here at Road America. ESV Pipes 2nd, 3rd, Dex McGezen 4th, F1R Legrect, and PTG Little Caesar now putting some pressure on McGezen, or I should say Legrect, I do apologize, with Dex Cadillo right behind him. So now that we've all got a chance to breathe, as someone says in the chat. Yeah, I don't know how well this mic picks up on that, so I do apologize if I cut out, but man, that was a big moment. That was a big moment. Now Barcode back into the top 10, got around AMS Andrew, and Barcode's going to be doing what McGezen had to do last week, and that's fight through the field as he gets by SSR Mosin Hoa for the 9th spot. Tough break for Elusive Motorsports, and it's a big moment for the team standings as Elusive will be fighting with one guy in motion. Pipes not registered with the ESV team, so Barcode is only going to be accumulating for one driver in the team championship with the Bobbers out this week. However, going to the race leader, F1R Sean leads this one here at Road America, and what a story it would be here today if Sean can pull off the first win in a long time. You come off of a really rough championship in the GT series, you get into the first round here at IMS, I should say, was able to get a top 3 spot, and then you get over into round 2, you start second, take the lead early, but Pipes is right there and Pipes is on the move. Once again, if you're just tuning in, this is round number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. I'm SSR Mayhem, bringing you the live action here at Road America. If you just got in, a big development happened early in the opening laps. Dex McGezen was looking for a 4th place pass on F1R Legrect. was going to clear Leclerc, got real deep into the corner, got into the quarter panel of ESV Barcode. Barcode would lose control. He would fall back as far as 11th, now fighting himself in a position to fight back through the field. It's going to take quite a drive by Barcode to do what McGezen did the last time in the first round when he made a big mistake. Again, that's a tough break for ESV Barcode. Sean still has that 1 second gap over ESV Pipes. Now Pipes had the fastest time in qualifying, started on the pole, didn't have a good start at the start of this one. So Sean was able to kind of take the lead early. Pipes had his hands full with ESV Barcode and the rest of the pack behind him. Meanwhile, Leclerc has passed Dex McGezen, and these two have been kind of duking it out. Leclerc was in the moment when McGezen had gotten into Barcode. And McGezen's going to look back to the inside off the corner, now to the outside as it goes down this long, windy road. McGezen looks to the inside. Leclerc not going to give it up willingly, gets a little bit wide, kind of forced to the outside there, had nowhere else to go. McGezen back to the third spot. So this is a battle to keep an eye on as the race continues. Pipes and Sean also within a second of one another. PTG Little Caesar and Dex Cadillo behind these two as we just watched our two leaders go by on screen. And Pipes is starting to close the gap on Sean just by a 1/10. So some drama early, some good racing on track, and a question mark to follow after the race, and surely both drivers are going to give their point of view. Barcode up to the 8th spot now, so Barcode on the move as Pipes tries to close in on the race leader. Leclerc still working on McGezen. McGezen trying to keep Leclerc back. And Barcode in the middle of a PTG sandwich right now. It's PTG Houseman, the next car in line, as Barcode goes to work. And here goes the pass, nothing there, gets back in line with Houseman as they hit the kink, starting to get away from AMS Andrew. Barcode's going to have to make this pass soon. He's got to fight. He's got plenty of laps, but quite a ways back from the race leader. So Barcode working on these guys slowly but surely. ZR Cranky out of this one. I'm not sure if that was a disconnect or an issue on track. As we head back to the third place battle between Dex McGezen holding on in the third spot. One of the things that we should talk about is the setup for this week. The drivers are kind of forced into the stock tune. They can there's very little things that they can play with on the car. And you know, Pipes and Sean were the top two guys in qualifying who kind of suited that situation a little bit better. McGezen not moving as far forward as we probably would expect him to be based on how he's competed in the last series and this series early on, but the one thing we talked about this past weekend was the consistency of the dexterity driver, and the one thing that Boberts and I had both highlighted, you know, is the fact that we've seen the speed. We know McGezen's fast, but the one thing we haven't seen is the consistency on track to stay out of trouble, stay out of problems, and you know, the first round. He got into the grass just a little bit, went around and fell back, and then he didn't lose really much ground here, but he got into Barcode early, and it just looked like an overly aggressive pass on Legrecht, which turned out to be more than just one guy. But Legrecht has been all over Megezin since then, and he's just not letting him out of his sights. He's going to really make him work for this spot, and I believe the leaders are still gapping both of those drivers. ESV Pipes trying to find a way to get to the Friends First Racing current leader, Sean. Sean hasn't won since 2022 here at MEA. Granted, we were gone for almost a year and a half, but it's been a while since Sean has seen an MEA checkered flag leading. As Barcode still trying to find his way. He's got quite a ways to go till he gets to the 6th place spot. He is gaining ground. Still 28 laps to go here at Road America. SSR Quinn down 1 lap. You gotta wonder if that was possibly the situation where Cranky was out of the race. A lap down this early isn't probably due to pace, so I would assume something had happened possibly with Cranky. Cranky out of this race with 12 drivers still on track at the moment. Legrecht's starting to lose ground on Megezin. And as we go back to the 8th spot, a little bit of battling and possible trouble for PTG Neb there. Got real slow off the corner. Not sure if he's got trouble. Doesn't look like it, so not sure what that is about, but hit the wrong one, huh? And you know, some of the challenges with not having a tune for the race car is just the fact that you can't set it up to your own liking. You have to really find your groove, find what works, and you know, some drivers can't handle it. And you know, I was one of those guys that always needed a tune to kind of find my progression, but you know, the setup of the race car does make a difference, and it's not always the driver that makes the biggest impact. It's what's on the race car and what you have set up. I'm really struggling. I'm sorry guys, I'm trying to get this stuff off. It's my bad. We're gonna get away from all that, as I saw Legrecht was closing the gap on Megezin again, but it looks like he made a slight mistake. F1R Sean still leading over ESV Pipes. Pipes has kind of been floating back and forth, but has maintained that 1 second gap. So let's go through the field and check on how everyone's doing. We already know it's Sean and Pipes at the front of the pack. Dex Megezin and Legrecht, they're still duking it out, and it seems like a bout of mistakes. Who's going to make the most of it? Right now, both of them having an on and off go here. And then PTG Little Caesar in the 5th spot. Dex Cotillo running 6th. He's got a hard and hungry driver right behind him, charging on the way. As ESV Barcode starts to close in, we're going to hang on to this battle at the moment as Barcode looks to pass the Dexterity driver. So Barcode trying to get one more spot to get closer to the top 5.
now putting the pressure on, and it looks like he's going to get the outside here. Now inside, as Barcode will go on by and take the 6th place spot away. So now he's got a little ways to go till he gets to the next driver, as we hop back on to the 4th place spot of F1R Legrec, trying to still work on Dex Magazin. So let's keep going through the field. PTG Nev running in that 8th spot, and as we hop on in the grass, and well, what you see is what you see right there. Running into the sign, his teammate PTG Houseman in the 9th spot. AMS Andrew currently in the 10th spot. That's SSR Mosen Hoa right behind him, and then 1 lap down in this one, SSR Quinn, and Quinn with some problems. Not sure what happened right there, but really struggling in this one. Really struggling. Possible damage. Not sure what's going on. In through the grass, sliding around. Looks like they're going to have to put that one in pit road. I would assume it looks like it's damaged. Yeah, it definitely is damaged. So, not sure what had happened, but a big issue on top of more issues for the SSR driver back in 12th. So Magazin still working on keeping Legrec behind as we hop back up to the front here with ESV Pipes. And Sean hasn't really been able to distance himself. I mean, he's been able to maintain the lead, been able to maintain the 1 second gap. I think the one thing that's really helped Pipes is the fact that he no longer had Barcode and Legrec behind him, putting some pressure on him. And what a lap here, as Pipes has put almost half a second back on Sean. Possible battle for the race lead here as we're going through the first quarter of this one. So we're going to find out here what Pipes has in store. Pipes was able to get the fastest time in qualifying, but hasn't led 1 lap in this one since the start of the race. Had a really bad start on the opening lap. F1R Sean was able to take great advantage of it, and then since then, and since the incident with Dex Magazin and ESV Barcode, it's been Pipes who's been slowly creeping back up to the front and looking to put that pressure on F1R Sean. We know how hungry Sean is to get a race win and get back into the championship fight, and this is a big moment for Sean. You know, Pipes wasn't back in round 1, so these are really vital points for Sean. And then, you know, depending on how Barcode finishes up and how Magazin finishes up here, this could be an opportunity to jump in the lead of the overall points after today if Sean would be able to hang on and win this one. And what a shakeup that would be. Now, again, plenty of laps still to go. Far from over. Barcode moving forward, starting to creep in on PTG Little Caesar for the 5th spot, trying to crack back into the top 5. Meanwhile, PTG Little Caesar going for his first top 5 ever in MEA. You know, for some of you, you've probably seen him back at the GT Championship Series, and Little Caesar got disqualified from his 5th place spot, getting a penalty that sent him back to 6th at Spa. Originally was able to keep that spot, and everyone's coming down the pit road here on track. And you know, I think that's the first time this season we've seen anybody actually not go in pit road. I was wondering how far Neb was behind, and yeah, so it looks like everybody's coming down on this particular lap. So we'll hop back on to the race leader with F1R Sean, ESV Pipes, as they come out of pit road. And They are leaving the way they came in. You know, sometimes this game's very unique with the pit cycling. So Sean, Houseman stayed out on the racetrack, leading for the moment, but didn't lead the lap. And we saw this happen back at Silverstone, the first round of the GT series, where one of the drivers stayed out. It created all types of problems, as Houseman's the leader here. Now you gotta think Pipes is probably not going to overplay this too much, knowing that the driver in front's got some. Oh, he looked for a second there. I thought Pipes was going to try to make a run to the outside. All this is doing is letting Dex McGezen into the fight. Now Sean able to get by him back to the race lead. Overdrove the corner just a little bit. Pipes able to get alongside Houseman as well. Pipes able to get alongside the rear quarter panel of Sean, but not able to get the run to sit on him and kind of forced him to battle that spot, as Sean had the preferred line. You got a little aerial view right there. McGezen was able to close in about a second on the race leaders. F1R Le Grec, on the other hand, has lost quite a bit of time on him. Barcode was able to get by PTG Little Caesar for the sixth spot, but netting fifth once Houseman goes down into pit road. Pipes putting all sorts of pressure now on Sean. And the one thing that we've seen Sean do so well in the past is being consistent and not making the big mistakes. And that's something that's been very vital for him over the years. And, you know, that's something you gotta acknowledge when you see guys like this. Pipes, you know, is another one. We've only seen very little of him since our return to MEA. I know some of you might know him a little bit better. That's been around the current game. But he has been showing much consistency as well. McGezen has lost about a second back. I believe that would probably have been because he was hung up behind Houseman. So we're going to find out what Pipes got in the book here. I was curious what this view is going to be. So as we are on the rear camera view of Sean, ESV Pipes looks to challenge for the race lead. Has done a really good job maintaining pace, has found his way slowly creeping in onto the race leader. So far in this one, we've had drama, we've had action, and we've had interesting strategies as PTG Houseman stayed out for an extra lap there. Still running in the top 10 in the 10th spot overall. Only one driver a lap down, SSR Quinn, who's had some really unfortunate circumstances early in this race. And then ZR Cranky, the other driver, out of this race with I believed it was a disconnect, but then we saw Quinn was on down a lap, so not sure if there was contact or a situation that had gone wrong for the ZR driver. And Pipes right there stalking his prey. He's going to get to the outside, onto the rumble strip just a little bit there. And Pipes with a power move to the outside. New race leader, ESV Pipes, back to the front for the first time, leading in this one. Had the pole, but did not open up as the leader on the opening lap. Has found pace, kept with Sean, found a move to the outside. Sean's not done just yet either. Sean says, I am far from being done here. And Sean a little bit better than Pipes was in this moment where they were near, almost on the head to toe right there. Sean almost getting underneath them. There, guys, they hit the right kink. Sean all over the back bumper of ESV Pipes. And as the fight goes on, it was McGezzin that lost over a second, but has creeped back into it. Sean back to the inside. Sean going back to the race lead. Or will he? Pipes hanging strong, door to door, wheel to wheel. Pipes gets loose. Sean with the preferred line to the inside, but can Pipes get a run? McGezzin fastly creeping up into the fight. Sean back to the race lead, and he's going to lead this lap, which means Pipes won't get the lap. So Sean still leading every lap into this one, but Pipes not done just yet. He's still onto the rear bumper. Meanwhile, Dexterity driver Dex McGezzin has closed the gap on the two race leaders, and this is not what you want to see right now if you are Pipes and Sean. And McGezzin's there. McGezzin's looking for the fight. A three-car battle for the race lead now. And this is not a guy you want to be seeing getting hot right now. Dex McGezzin on the hunt, on to the fight, running into the third place spot. However, ESV Barcode now into the top 5, slowly, or I would say slowly, but creeping in onto Legrecht. And if you're Barcode right now, you want this fight to keep going. Now Sean, door to door with Pipes. Pipes trying to make another move. McGezzin just looking on from the back side of it. How patient will you be if you're Dex McGezzin? McGezzin looks to the inside, nothing there. Sean maintaining the race lead. Pipes right onto the rear bumper. McGezzin not getting the run off the edge, was trying to avoid contact with Pipes, as Pipes was able to fend him off for the second place spot. Three-car battle for the race lead as McGezzin has taken a 2-second gap and has stopped the bleeding, caught up into the fight. And Sean is just holding on for dear life now. Sean with the comfortable lead is gone now to just complete defensive mode. Sean will lead this lap too, but he's got two drivers really putting a lot of pressure on him right now. And there goes Pipes now to the inside of Sean. Sean on the outside. Can he get a big run here? McGezzin says he's going to go with Pipes, trying to give him a little bit of a push. Now he sits in the middle of that. Now McGezzin looks to the bottom. Will he try to make it 3 wide? That would be detrimental right now. Sean powering back alongside Pipes. They hit, they touch, door-to-door action. Sean got a run out of the corner. Pipes able to get back in line. McGezzin not able to take that opportunity away from Pipes. And there he is into the background. F1R Legrecht now slowly creeping up into the battle. When we started this race, the top 5 were under a blanket almost. After the situation with McGezzin and Barcode, Sean and Pipes were able to get away. McGezzin would have to fight with Legrecht, and Barcode, well, Barcode's been battling since falling all the way back to 11th around lap 4, I believe. It's 3 or 4 when the mistake happened. Pipes looks to the inside. Sean unable to close the door. They're going door to door once again. Sean with the preferred line, able to cover by a crossover move by Pipes. Pipes looks back to the inside, and Pipes will take over the race lead. Sean now playing on the defensive end. He's got McGezzin all over the back bumper. Sean in trouble. Sean able to stabilize. And as they come off the final corner, Pipes gets into the grass, and Sean's going to try to take the lap back. And Sean will get the lap again. Sean has led every lap in this race, and Sean is fighting for his life right now. Pipes not able to get 1 lap led in this one. Again, the pole sitter not led 1 lap today. ESV Pipes is doing everything he can. Meanwhile, Dexterity driver McGezzin has seen it all from behind, and he's got more company coming. The Friends First Racing driver, F1R Legrecht, trying to get into the fight and help his teammate, but Pipes back to the outside of Sean. Sean now back to the inside as they hit once again. Very, very little contact there, if any, as Pipes was able to hold to the outside line. Sean back, still staying onto the inside line. Sean able to maintain the gap. Sean able to get back to the race lead. Pipes just cannot find a way around Sean. Two drivers, consistency matters, putting it all on the line. McGezin, I'm surprised McGezin has been this patient. McGezin hasn't really thrown his hand or thrown his hand into the pot fully just yet, knowing that the F1R driver Legrecht is on the way. McGezin into the grass, Pipes not as far into the grass. Sean holding on to the gap between him and Pipes. Sean now gets to relax for a moment. It's been a few laps since Sean hasn't had to work in that section of the racetrack. Legrecht dropping the gap between him and the leaders by 1.5 seconds. Meanwhile, ESV Barcode still about 7 seconds back from this, but is still creeping on to the leaders, I should say, at the moment. Pipes trying to get this lap. Pipes with a little side draft. Pipes gonna try to lead this one. No, Sean still got the lap. That's the closest Pipes has been to leading a lap in this one. Sean still got the preferred line to the inside. Pipes to the outside, but it's going 3 wide. 3 wide, battling off of one. McGezin gets over the second spot. Sean stuck to the outside. McGezin with an insane move to the inside. McGezin going for the race lead. Pipes now on the back of McGezin, going down the long straight. Sean, all he needs is just to maintain a door-to-door battle, and he'll have the preferred line in the corner. What a move by Dex McGezin. He's made it 3 wide off of turn 1. Now with a crossover move. Dex McGezin gets to the inside of Sean. They're battling. They're throwing haymakers. They're giving it everything they got. Sean trying to cross over McGezin now. Sean back to the outside. Door to door as they hit the kink. Sean has led every lap in this race. He's defended for his life out there. F1R Legrecht, he is on the way, but he's still a little bit back from the battle. Sean now able to take back the race lead. Dex McGezin has to fall in line. ESV Pipes right behind him. It's a 3-car battle. The last 4 or 5 laps have been heating up kindly, but a man on the mission right behind him. It's F1R Legrecht now. He's creeping into the race scene. McGezin now has to kind of reel himself back in. He's had a couple of great moves. F1R Sean has been better than everyone that's challenged him so far. He's been behind. He's found his way back every single lap. Battle this, battle that. The only guy he hasn't had to battle yet is his teammate. And there he is, F1R Legrecht. Now a 4-car battle for the race lead will be coming on. But wait a minute, McGezin looks to the inside. McGezin gonna run, door to door. Who's gonna lead the lap? It's McGezin. The first lap of the race, not led by F1R Sean, is the dexterity driver. And if you're ESV Pipes, what do you gotta do to get yours? Still door to door off of 1. Still coming off into 2. Sean now holds on to the outside. And Sean, oh, he gave it up. Just bring the Pipes to the inside. Pipes going for the race lead. ESV Pipes with the power move to the inside. Sean not done just yet. Sean onto the outside of the dexterity driver McGezin. McGezin was able to take the lead for a moment. Then Pipes threw it down to the inside. He's retained the lead. And here comes McGezin now. 4 cars into the mix. It's F1R Legrecht now. Legrecht with his teammate. How hard will Legrecht push Sean? Both drivers teamed up into the team championship side of it. Both drivers competing individually. More than likely, I would assume they would work together. Now Pipes, your pole sitter, trying to get the first lead lap in this one. Dexterity driver McGezin still trying to figure it out. ESV Barcode, however, is not too far behind. He's dropped the gap down under 6 seconds. And if you're Barcode, you're on a mission. You want these guys to battle. You want, oh my gosh, Pipes loses control. Pipes crosses. Pipes goes around. McGezin goes around. Sean to the race lead. F1R Legrecht around. And there goes Barcodes flying through the middle. That should bring out a full course caution. That should bring out a full course caution. We're waiting to see the call. I think they are slowing. I'm not 100% sure. So the caution is out, and that's going to slow the field down. And for the first time here in MEA, a caution flag is out, and who's the biggest gainer from it? It's ESV Barcode. Wow, we had ourselves a barn burner there for quite a while. What a moment. What a moment in the race. Sean, Legrecht, McGezin, Pipes, all fighting for the same thing. Pipes losing control on the kink. He lost control, came across McGezin. McGezin got collected by Pipes. Then after that, McGezin goes around. He collects Legrecht. And then after that, Barcode was able to squeeze the needle as the caution came out. And my goodness. And if you're wondering, the new rule in MEA is if one or more cars go around or have any sort of contact and a driver has damage from that contact, it doesn't have to be the damage. It'll bring out a full course caution. The first time here in MEA. We've never done it outside of the NASCAR Cup Series hosted here at MEA. Holy cow. What a moment, and what a debrief. Yes, there is cautions. And the reason for the cautions, for anyone that's wondering, it was implemented as other series have been doing it to kind of base it into real life, IMSA, and all that other stuff around the world. So, and the only way the caution comes out, like as I said, can only be done by more than one driver, and this would bring out the full course as the drivers all come back together. All right, so there was a late call. I had to kind of figure out what was going on inside the chat, as this was the first time this ever happened. So there was a late call for the pits to be open. So some of the drivers went down the pit road. So other drivers this time around will be granted to pit, and then the following lap they'll go back to green. As it was just a late call, some of the guys weren't able to go in last second. Wow, what a race we're having though, huh? Man, did I need a I needed a moment anyways. That was a lot coming out at one time. What do you guys think at home? You guys watching on? Who do you got for this one? I mean, this is a 4 or 5 car race. Any of these guys up front can win it. But holy cow, what a race. so they should be picking up the pace this coming lap. As everyone goes down the pit road and get their cars situated. And the reason why they didn't go the last time was because it was a late call to pit road, so everyone was able to kind of fix their cars back up, get things going. So they're going to all get things squared off, and then the next time around they'll go back to green. Alright, so they're going to come around this lap, they're going to go green this time, and then we're going to get back to the mayhem. So now that I've collected myself again, it's going to be restarting F1R Sean, ESV Barcode, F1R Legrecht, Dex McGezin, ESV Pipes, then Dex Galileo, PTG Little Caesar, PTG Neb, PTG Houseman, AMS Andrew 14 rounding out your top 10. Then it's SSR Mosen Hoa and SSR Quinn rounding out the field a lap down, 11th and 12th. Cranky the only driver out of the race. And what a sight to see Barcode back up in the mix. I mean, you're talking about a guy that went around, got no damage on the opening lap after some contact with McGezin, which, you know, surprisingly, if Barcode had gotten damaged, that would have opened up a caution, but Barcode didn't get none, and that's why the caution never got called early in the race, and he fell back as far as 11th. Again, a caution can only be called if two or more drivers get collected in an accident, and one of those drivers has damage. If the other driver doesn't get collected with them. So you see some of the drivers warming up the cars, or warming up the tires. And I feel like we're still seeing the start of the race with all the red. Now, my question is Barcode fast enough to take on Sean? I would assume so, given that McGezin was able to get up to the front. But they were battling so hard that, you know, a lot was happening. I mean, those guys that took off the lead, Pipes and Sean's battle, that's brought everybody else back in. You know, a lot happened there. So let's hop on with Barcode since he's behind the race leader. Only one driver has led a lap in this race other than Sean, and that was McGezin before the carnage happens. And back to green, Sean leading the way. Can Sean hang on for 12 more laps? As they enter turn number 1, Sean will take the charge to lead the field. Barcode all over the back bumper of your race leader. Sean has led every but one lap in this race, has taken on the pole leader, has taken on everybody that's come at him. Now it's Barcode's turn. Barcode to the outside of Sean, down the mid-straight. And Sean has been super strong, battling with every driver that has kind of come his way. Legrecht is going to go with his teammate, though. Legrecht's going to try to get Sean to the front, but wasn't able to get to the bumper. Probably doesn't have to, as Sean able to kind of clear up. Oh, Barcode into the grass just a little bit. Barcode almost losing control, hanging on. What a moment there for Barcode. Already caught back to the field because of the caution, and would have to go all the way back again if he had lost the car. Meanwhile, Legrecht, McGezin, and Pipes still all there. Gatillo right behind them. The starting five, they kind of separated themselves from the pack is doing the same thing again. The difference this time is Barcode and Legrecht and McGezin are in front of Pipes, and Pipes is going to try to dial back in as he battles back there with McGezin. And Barcode looks to the outside. Sean protecting the inside lane. Sean going door to door with Barcode. Barcode gets loose off the corner. Barcode connects just a little bit there with Legrecht and gets back in line. McGezin now has an opportunity. He's going to try to get to the outside of Legrecht. Oh man, Legrecht really throws it in. Thought for a moment there as McGezin now clearing Legrecht for third, and well, if you're Sean, you're happy to see that, but you don't really need McGezin to be the guy putting the pressure on Barcode. Everyone else has been doing this, has been putting pressure on each other throughout this entire race at the front. Sean still maintaining the race lead. Sean getting a little bit wide off of turn number 1. Still the top 5 separating themselves from the field. Pipes kind of drifting back just a little bit. Pipes, you know, the thing with Pipes, he kind of came to life as the race was going on, and he didn't really need the full, I mean, his pace kind of came after a few laps, so you got to wonder if the reset kind of got him back in the starting mode. As Sean still leading here at Road America. And McGezin now into the mix again. So Legrecht and Pipes kind of still behind. Oh my gosh, everyone kind of getting into the back of each other right there. So 10 laps to go. Sean still leading the way here at Road America. Round number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge with a good fight on its hands. And Barcode looks to the inside. Sean covers the inside. Barcode almost got into the back of Sean there. Had to lay off just a little bit. McGezin right there with Legrecht. Meanwhile, ESV Pipes is kind of out of the mix of the top 5. And Barcode got to the outside. McGezin looks to the inside of Barcode. Wasn't able to make it happen. Didn't have enough momentum when he went to make the move. And if you're Legrecht right now and you see your teammate under fire, you're probably trying to want to get up there in the mix of the battle. Meanwhile, ESV Pipes closed in 2/10 on the top 4 drivers, trying to get back into the midst of the fight. You know, we just talked about how Pipes has kind of found his pace as the race has kind of developed. Now it's McGezin looking to the inside of Barcode. These two tangled earlier on lap 3 or 4 of the race. And if you're McGezin, I don't think he meant to hit him, obviously, but we had a bad angle of it. You know, McGezin was able to get to the inside of Legrecht, and then as Barcode was turning into turn 2, McGezin was kind of there. So I'm still not sure who the fault of that incident was, but with the situation that happened, I mean, Barcode was going to finally get to that fight. If that incident, if that wreck did not happen back in lap 2021, I still think Barcode was going to get into the fight. I mean, these guys were just throwing hands out there, and it was beautiful, like hard fought, clean racing, stuff you like to see. As Sean continues to lead, Barcode looks for a moment, doesn't find a way there. McGezin to the outside of Barcode, right where they met the first time. Barcode gonna play it nice. And you gotta wonder, Barcode probably, Barcode's never really kind of come off as the guy for retaliation. That was where the incident happened, and Barcode could have ran him up the track a little bit, really put him wide, and he didn't. So some, you know, love not lost there, but what if, right? And, you know, Barcode's fighting for a championship. He doesn't want to overdo it. You know, McGezin's right there behind him in the points, and then there's Sean. And Sean, if Sean can get this win, these three are within probably 5 points of each other in the fight for the title. Leclerc is also, you know, in the midst of battle for a championship, but he's going to have to try to find a way to get past these two guys in front of him. And he's also got Pipes not far behind him. Now Pipes is about a second and a half behind the leader, but still within, you know, reach. As Barcode looking for some momentum here. I'm pretty sure team leader, team owner, I should say, F1R Design watching on is probably holding his breath right now. He's got two of his drivers inside the top four within a second of the leaders, and then there's ESV Pipes back into it. You can see him back there, and these two battling up front. You know, this is going to bring those three back into the fight, and Sean's done a great job today. Sean has really just defended, has done a great job all race long, hasn't made any real mistakes. And, you know, he didn't want to see that caution come out, and, you know, but all the drivers knew coming into the season that that was a new rule that was implemented, so it's one of those things, you know what you get involved with, and I know for the viewer, you know, it's a lot different than what we do at MEA, but we're trying to kind of put some more of that real life into our series, and Barcode gets to the inside of Sean! Barcode, I think he got a little too deep. Or not, I wouldn't say too deep, but just didn't get enough momentum. It does not, as he'll fall back in line with Sean. That brings McGezin closer into the fight again. And you can just see them all looking on. The top five have separated themselves. They are the alphas of the pack, and they're not separating at all. They're really going at it right now, and I think Barcode has the overall pace, but right now, Sean has been the best driver. He's just been phenomenal all race. He's been able to defend every single one of these drivers. You know, Sean's seen Pipes, he's seen Leclerc, he's seen McGezin, he's seen Barcode, and he's doing a great job just, you know, keeping it calm, not overdriving the car, not being over defensive, keeping the car where it needs to be, using the draft, using the side for all that stuff. Like, he's just doing a phenomenal job, and you know, it helps when you got a couple guys back there also kind of in the mix, but, you know, he's had everything thrown at him and then some, and we got, it looks like SSR Quinn coming out of pit road. That'll put him down 2 laps, and, you know, the leaders will clear him before he gets out of pit road. Who's gonna take this win today? I mean, it's based on how things have gone out. You know, Sean's done a phenomenal job, but you got these other guys right behind him, really just trying to get over the edge of one another. There's Leclerc getting into the mix of it now, and then Pipes is just trying to get back in there. And I think if Leclerc and Pipes are able to get kind of right there with McGezin, you know, with Barcode in front, I think that's going to open up the opportunity of, you know, what we saw earlier. Everyone kind of throwing a different hand into the pot, everyone trying to do something different. I mean, this has been ongoing mayhem, and there goes Sean through, making sure he can't get to his outside. Chat, tell me who you got. This time by 6 laps to go. Sean still maintaining a great lead over defending champion ESV Barcode. Meanwhile, dexterity driver McGezin trying to put his hand upon. Oh, Pipes almost loses control of the car again, getting too wide off of the final corner. Looks like he didn't lose too much momentum, but definitely almost had another little hiccup there. As we get to the closing laps here in round number 2, Barcode still looking for something, but there comes McGezin. McGezin's who's running. Oh my goodness, we almost seen the same thing as early on in the race. McGezin was able to really slow that car down though this time, not trying to get back into this rival competitor. And this is the most calm the race has been. I mean, before the caution had come out, those guys were doing everything and then some. Legrecht is trying to creep back into this. And it's calm before the storm. The top 3 drivers have finally distanced themselves from Legrecht and Pipes. And Barcode trying to get to the inside of Sean. It looks like he's got something here. And there goes Sean powering around to the outside, trying to maintain pace. And this is where it's going to get dicey. Sean throws it back to the inside. Barcode into the grass. And McGezin powers to the outside, and he'll take over the second spot. Sean doesn't get a good run off of the final corner. McGezin gets to the inside. Sean trying to run him into the line. Sean almost got him into the wall. Oh my gosh. McGezin goes for the race lead. And Barcode just lurking in that third spot. But it's Sean trying to hang on. McGezin gets into the grass for the moment. Sean able to cover second. New race leader, it's Dex McGezin. And it brought the other 2 guys into the fight. And look at Sean trying to force his hand into the gear. Oh my goodness. Sean is hungry. Sean wants more. Sean's not done just yet. And it looks like Barcode's electing to kind of work with Sean here. McGezin now able to maintain the lead for the moment. Sean's not done. And Sean gets to the outside, and he's going to try to make it stick. Hang on! And now all 5 drivers are back in it. Barcode looks to the outside. Barcode out of control. Barcode hanging on. Sean able to deal with a couple more problems now. It's Pipes and Legrecht. And McGezin now heading on. He's got the biggest gap that he's had all race up front. Can he maintain it? And Sean and Pipes and Legrecht, they're still throwing it at one another. But Sean's not done, and he's going to go try to fight again. Sean has dominated this race. Sean has defended and fought off everyone that's come his way, but now he's in a different spot. Now he's the aggressor. Now he's on the offensive end, and he is not losing sight of race leader, dexterity driver, McGezin. And Sean back up to the front now, looking to fight with the leader of McGezin. 4 laps to go. And so now the calm before the storm again. Sean trying to re-chase down McGezzin, looking to kind of get back into the battle for the race lead. Meanwhile, Pipes got passed by teammate ESV Barcode for 4th. F1R Legrecht still running in that 3rd spot. We've seen a little bit of everything in this one here at Road America. And Sean trying to get back into the fight for the lead. And he's right there, you know, he's right on them, he's right with him, he's not letting him get away. But he needs a good run, and he needs to be able to try to get to his side. I mean, the one thing that this track has shown is that the draft is really strong and can be a big factor. As you see, Legrecht now defending Pipes. Pipes able to get back by Barcode. You gotta wonder if Barcode has any sort of damage, or I would assume he doesn't, but oh, Sean almost losing control right there, able to hang on with it. He's gonna need a good run off of this exit. Sean dropping, fading, McGezzin. 3 laps left here at Road America. We'll hop back to that 3rd, 4th place battle right now, as Sean's going to look to try to track down the race leader. As we hop on board with ESV Pipes. Pipes trying to get back by F1R driver Legrecht. Pipes has his teammate behind him. Barcode wants to get going. He looks to the outside of Pipes. Pipes not able to hang on to the inside. Barcode able to get by. Now Barcode working on F1R Legrecht. Legrecht trying to hold off Barcode. Barcode looks to the inside. Barcode has a nose in. Barcode gets door to door with Legrecht. Now he gets to the outside of Legrecht. They go side by side into the kink. Barcode able to make it stick, able to hang on to the outside, and Pipes will go with them. Pipes with the power to the outside, now goes to the inside. Barcode to the 3rd spot. Pipes to the 4th spot. And F1R Legrecht had all Elusive Motorsports behind him, and then they get on by, and Legrecht did everything he could there, but was just not able to hold off Barcode and Pipes. Now he's back onto the rear bumper of Pipes, trying to find a way, and Pipes losing control again! What had happened before, but he saves it this time! Big moment for ESV Pipes. The same spot that got the caution out the first time almost became a problem again. Meanwhile, Legrecht onto the bumper of Barcode. Sean now losing time against McGezzin. McGezzin, I believe McGezzin has broken the draft between him and Sean. 2 laps to go here at Road America. Legrecht looks to the inside. Barcode covers. Now Legrecht to the outside. McGezzin going for his 2nd win in MEA. First one came back at Kyalami in the MEA GT Championship Series. Now trying to get his 1st as he looks to get into the points gap. And if Barcode can't get moving, McGezzin will take over the championship points lead. Now, it's not over yet. We've seen a lot of crazy things as Barcode and Pipes are throwing it. You saw, I believe, Barcode got into the grass there, kicked up some dirt, and now Pipes is going to kick up some dirt, and Barcode will get right back underneath him. Sean now 2.5 seconds, 2.6 seconds back from the leader. You gotta wonder right now, if you're Sean, you gotta keep your head straight, you gotta keep yourself in the game. You can't lose track of time, you can't get lost in the moment. McGezzin, we've seen a lot of inconsistency out of him. We've seen a lot of fight out of him. White flag this time, 1 lap to go. Wait a minute! McGezin goes down in the pit road! Troubles for the race leader! F1R Sean stays out! Leclerc goes down the pit road as well! 2 of the race leaders in pit road won't make it till the end! Sean going for his first win on the season! ESV Barcode also stays out on the racetrack. Dex McGezin and F1R Leclerc both not able to make it to the finish. Big, big, big moment there for the Dexterity driver. It's brought in Little Caesar. It's brought in Dex Gatillo. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. When I went into the chat to see what was going on under caution, some of the drivers were unsure about the fuel. They had 2 opportunities. They went down. I don't believe they got enough in the tank, and obviously they don't think so either. That dropped McGezin back to 8th, dropped Leclerc down to 9th. And if you're ESV, you know Barcode's already round 1. Sean wants to be a champion again, wants to get back into the winner's circle, has done everything right all race long. Wow. Pipes, I would assume Pipes and Barcode were lost in the moment, seeing those guys go in. I'm sure Sean was stunned as well. For the final time, coming around the final turn, it's been a while, but Sean will once again be an MEA winner and win round number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge. Sean, your race winner. ESV Barcode will bring it home 2nd. Pipes will bring it home 3rd. Dex Gatillo from Dexterity gets by Little Caesar. Caesar cannot get back to the front. And Gatillo will bring it home 4th. In his first top 5 of the season ever, I should say. PTG Little Caesar. Houseman will bring it home 6th. Wait a minute. McGezin will get by for 6th. I'm not sure what happened. Houseman let him go. He'll bring home 7th. 8th is PTG Nev. 9th, Leclerc. 10th will be AMS Andrew 14. And then SSR Mosen Hoa and SSR Quinn will round out the top 12 field. So stay tuned. Post-race interviews coming up next here at MEA. Again, post-race interviews coming up next. We're going to get Barcode, we're going to get Pipes, we're going to get Caesar, Gatillo, and Sean will have to do written interviews. So stay tuned. Post-race interviews coming up next here at MEA.
So we're gonna get. I think all I need to do is send Caesar an invite, and then we'll have everybody here. So we're going to. We're still waiting for 2 drivers to get in here, and then once we do that, we'll go from there. But there's your final results here at Road America. Again, post-race interviews coming up next here at MEA. We are just waiting on a couple of drivers, so once they get in here, we'll be able to do this. What a race, though. What a race. So once again, we're trying to get these guys in here. I have a feeling it's just the So we just need to get them in here and we can start this thing. Sorry guys, I'm working on it. I'm not sure if one driver in here. Now we're just waiting on Pipes and we're waiting on Barcode. And all right, so real quick, Pipes, can you send Barcode an invite? I don't know if you got mine. And then you guys just make sure that your audio box is checked off in the chat so that people can hear you that are tuned in. And I don't know what just happened to him, but we'll just wait a minute. I think we lost Pipes. Pipes disconnected. You still here, Caesar? Not sure what's going on. Alright, so this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. We're going to have everyone just... And we're going to do this through the VC. So it's going to sound a little janky, guys, but we're going to do this a whole nother way. So
and I'll just switch from the speaker, and we'll go from there. So we have Gatilo doing a interview written. We have Sean writing his interview, and we're just waiting for Pipes. And at this point, yeah, okay, there we go. All right, so we have two of the three I'm trying to get in here. Try to get Barcode in here, but. All right, we're just gonna. Okay. Okay. We're gonna start it here in a second. I'm trying to get. Bark. I can't. Why isn't that working right? All right, let's try this again. All right, we're gonna start with PTG Little Caesar, and then we're gonna go for. Okay, so Barcode got in. All right, so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna leave it on speaker on my phone, and we're gonna have it go right through the my headset. But we're gonna start with PTG Little Caesar. Caesar, so we know that you got taken away from your first top 5 back in the GT Championship Series. Here you are for the first time back in it, and this time should be no trouble. But Caesar, you've been battling throughout this race back in the mid-pack. You've seen different kinds of guys come through the field. How surprised were you there late in this one, be able to get your top 5 and see 2 of the top 5 leaders have to pit there with 1 to go? You have to unmute your mic. Oh, sorry guys, I had my mic muted, so I'm gonna go right back through what I just said. Sorry guys, but we're gonna start with Little Caesar here, and Caesar, you finished 5th. This is your first top 5 ever in MEA. We know that you got one taken away back in the GT Championship Series. How does this one feel? It looks like this one's gonna be clear with no problems to have to get it taken away from you. And how surprised were you there late in the race when you saw 2 of the leaders pitting?
To get a top 5. I was hoping for a top 5 anyway at the start, but then Barcode just swooped straight past like nothing. So then I was hoping for a P6, and then when I think it was Legrex and Sean came in, and then was just hoping they wouldn't catch up on our very dead tyres. And then at the end, Gatilo just had the slightly better tyre wear to get past me. So, very happy for top 5.
And you know, Caesar, we know that you're not sure if you're going to be able to make the full championship, but what do you got to do the rest of the season to be in the mix with these guys? And do you think, is there anything that you've progressed on in the last couple of races from the GT Series that have kind of made you better?
I think overall, just suit my drive style better, but for the next races, just consistently trying top 5. As long as I can make the races, then top 5's my goal. But yeah, my focus is on my other stuff. But yeah.
Well, yeah, but yeah, no, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Just it seemed like you fought hard for this one today, and we know that you've been improving over the last several races since joining us here from the GT Series. And you know, congratulations on your first top 5, and hopefully there's a lot more to come for you in the future.
Thank you.
PTG Little Caesar, everyone, 5th overall. Then we're going to move up with Dex Gatilo, who had a written response to some of the questions. He said it was a very different race because I asked him how he felt as the season went on, and he said with the safety car changed the strategy. McGezzin didn't put enough fuel to finish the top 5, so due to strategy error by McGezzin and Pipes, he went on to say that he thinks getting the strategy right would be the key to that in regards to how they will fight for the team championship, as they were running 3rd coming into this race. He said he made a mistake in the first stage and then McGazin made a mistake in the second stage. So he says they're making both mistakes in that regard, but he knew that the strategy for the second round would be to be safe, but the safety car took away some of our concentration. And that's all he. Oh, I'm sorry. And then he went on to say that McGazin wasn't a surprise because we were talking during the race, but Legrecht was a surprise. So he's seen. They were a little bit shocked with some of the guys that were up front battling, but it looks like they got some things to clean up over at the Dexterity camp. But he was able to get his first top 5 of the season, finishing 4th overall. And good luck to him as the season goes on. And now we have ESV Pipes, the pole sitter from today. And Pipes, first question before we dive into a couple more. Were you surprised to get the pole today? It kind of shocked me, but it seemed like with the way everything was set up today, it kind of fell in your favor.
Yeah, definitely surprised. I did a good amount of practice leading up to the race, so I was expecting to be on my own pace. Pole position, super surprised, especially because this is my first time ever competing in a prototype. I didn't really know what to expect, but happy that it happened.
Do you feel like these cars suit your style a little bit better, or was it just one of those things that you're scratching your head on still from, not only qualifying but the result from the race?
I guess so. I think it probably suits me pretty well. I enjoy driving the car a lot. It has amazing lat Gs in the corners, which I always like a car that can do that. And yeah, I felt good on throttle. Just some nuances with the protos that were a little bit difficult to get used to. You got to smooth steer a lot more than what I'm used to doing. And when they do get sideways, they get really sideways, especially at high speeds.
There's a big handful of laps there where you, McGazin, Sean, and Legrecht were all just throwing it at each other. I mean, you spent the entire race, you were doing everything you could to get a lap led. You didn't have a great start. Sean was able to take over the lead early. And then later in the race, you guys all find each other. You're throwing haymakers. All of a sudden, you lose the car. You almost lost it twice in the race in the same spot. Take us through those moments. How was it fun or was it stressful?
It was a whole different ballgame for me after the first wreck. I had good confidence in the car up to that point, but when I did lose it on the curb on the exit of the kink, and obviously got a bunch of damage, I had to adapt my driving style a little bit. Maybe tone it back, especially in the kink, but also just in the high-speed corners. It was, at least for me, in my hands, it felt sketchy in a lot of the high-speed corners. The second time around, I'm happy to hear that you saw that. That was really close. Same spot, like you said, through the kink, and that's the sort of thing that, will come with time and a little bit more experience in this type of car. That's my first time wrecking in that corner in the, maybe 3 hours or so of practice that I did leading up to the event.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like a spot that you particularly didn't have the best success through. But the thing was, you had it seemed like you had so much of an opportunity to get out front as the race went on before the big accident. Take us through what could have been different for you to get by Sean and ultimately win this race. I mean, we won't know if that could have given you an opportunity as the race went on with the accident, but do you feel like there's anything different that you could have done that could have given you the edge?
It would have been hard no matter what to get away. The draft here was definitely really strong. My theory was, in the first stint, I just wanted to keep it cool, keep the car on track, avoid mistakes, because I noticed pretty early on that Sean's car, and probably Legrecht as well, they were running less than full aero. So they had an advantage down the straight, but my thought was, because, with just the way the tire strategy here unfolded, was hoping they were going to experience more wear on the rear tires than we did. That was what I was banking on, and aside from that, maybe we would have an advantage in the pit road. You never really know who's going to win on pit road. But that was plan A, was let's see what Sean's tires do at the end of the stint. I did notice that we were closing on him, maybe a couple tenths in those last 3 laps leading up to the pit stop, but it wasn't enough to get out ahead. I would have had to have just beat him on track and get lucky that he runs off or something to break the tail. That's the only way to really get away in this.
Well, Pipes, it was a lot of fun to watch you guys out there. I know the wreck wasn't in the plans, but obviously with the new penalty or sorry, not the penalty, but the caution system that was implemented to kind of make it more real life feeling once a couple cars get connected. We'll talk about that real quick before I let you go. Do you feel like that saved your race from ultimate destruction there? Because obviously that moment was so big. Or did you guys have? I mean, I don't know if anyone had damage from it, but I do know that you guys had a little bit of a gap from the cars behind you.
It's just how things unfold. Not really sure, but I had a good time. It was good fun. I think that the safety car was really the saving grace in my race. That, and then some people obviously missed the fuel strategy or something and had to pit on the last lap.
Were you shocked about that?
Close. I'm sorry?
Were you shocked in that moment when you saw two guys going in the pits at the last lap?
Definitely, yeah. When I was last in the pit road, I just did the quick head math and saw it was going to be really tight if you took 50%. So I took the extra 10% of fuel, which meant I had to carry that around for the whole last stint, but was obviously totally fine on fuel to the end.
Well, regardless of the result, the race was a lot of fun, and we got to watch a lot of it from the outside looking in. But congratulations on the top 5, and we hope to see you back and be a part of these next 4 weeks. But congratulations once again.
Thanks, yeah, looking forward to the next one.
ESP Pipes, ladies and gentlemen, 3rd overall, and we're going to move over to the defending champion and Barcode. That was some race. Early on, you got caught up, and we really didn't have a great angle of it. Maybe we should start with that before I dive into it. But to fight back, get second, that was quite a mountain to climb, I feel, based on where you were at the beginning of the race. Now going back to it, was the situation with you and McGezzin kind of a surprise? Was he already underneath you? Did he come in too hot? What had happened there?
He basically going into turn 2 I was comfortably ahead of him and Legret. He was in the process of overtaking Legret, and he broke probably a bit too deep while diving Legret. He was trying to kind of get ahead, park on the apex or whatever, and ended up unfortunately clipping me and spinning me around. It's not really, not much he could do. It's just unfortunate placement. He would have been fine if I wasn't there.
And you were able to kind of save the car from going into a wall. I mean, it didn't seem like you had really to worry about that, but you fell far as back as 11th. You found your way fighting through the field, and before the safety car had come out, you were on the prowl of getting in the mix of the top 4 battling. Those guys were going at it. I mean, there was something going on for a handful of laps, and you were starting to close in on the gap. And then when it happened, I mean, that had to be quite the shocker for you, because you were fighting to get back up to the front.
Yeah, it was. It was probably unlikely that I was going to actually catch up to those 4 with the gap at 4. They weren't still running good pace, and I mean, the safety car basically is what saved it. When I saw those 2 spun around the kink, I was quite shocked, honestly, especially considering that the caution showed as well, which put me in a good position for the last bit of the race.
Well, you the thing was on the screen we saw you got kind of close to those guys, and you had to thread the needle between, I think it was McGezzin and Legrecht. Was that a scary moment for you to be involved, or was it already kind of slowed down enough to where you could get through it with no problem?
It was a little sketch. I kind of knew that I could just sat in the middle. They'd be plenty smart enough to just sit to one side.
And then carrying on to that, I mean, with this, I should ask you as well. I know you've been around MEA for quite a while. This is a very new thing that was implemented. The safety car that had come out. How did it make you feel? Was it a nice moment for you, or did it kind of like hurt the for you, like the momentum you were having on track, just trying to maintain your pace and kind of get back into it on the restart?
I don't really know. I don't think it really made too much difference. I mean, it put everyone on a wonky tyre straight and you ended up having to do an extra 2 laps, so I guess that was not ideal, but I wouldn't say it did too much. Or just my execution of the half of the race after the restart was a little poor, but it worked out thanks to people that missed putting the fuel in, putting the lap too short.
And then, you were there, you had an opportunity to try to take the race lead over Sean, who dominated the race, spent most of his time defending. He'd probably seen everybody in the top 5 at some point in that race, and then there you are, just right there, and it just seemed like you were being conservative, but you were trying to find a way around him. What was the difference between you and Sean when you guys were going back and forth trying to take that first spot?
He was just a very good defender. He had the extra speed with the lesser error, which took me a little bit to realise they were running less downforce, so it was not as hard. It was harder to get alongside him even with the slip. And it was just quite difficult to like make a move stick, and even if you do, like it's quite easy to use a slipstream to get back past. So I was being fairly cautious, wasn't trying too much. I was just busy being passive until really Mgeza got involved, so I started trying a little bit more to get by him.
And then, final question I got for you, you were there at the end, you ended up getting into the grass a little bit. I know that the draft was kind of a factor for a lot of this race, if you were in it or not, but you got into the grass, you fell back, and then you were back there battling, I know you were with Pipes and Legrecht. Did you kind of like lose your mojo there mentally, or was it just one of those situations where, they were just close enough with you, all you guys in pace, and then no one can really get away from one another? It seemed like after that happened, the three of you kind of just said, you know what, those two are going to be gone. We're having our own run back behind them.
I guess, yeah. I didn't even think I was on the grass when I turned in, and the fact there was less rubber over there also just made that slide out a little worse. It wasn't really that big of a problem. Like, it's just whatever, just get on with it basically.
And then, you have 4 weeks to go. Sean has closed in the gap. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe you'll still have a few points in front of him going into the next round. Mgeza obviously did not have enough fuel there. You get to a place like this type of track, is there, with the draft, how much of a factor could that be for the rest of the championship with the tracks given? Do you feel like it's anyone's race still, or do you feel confident as you go into the next 4 weeks?
Daytona and Le Mans are going to be the biggest tracks where it's kind of really anyone's race, really, especially Le Mans. Like, it's pretty slow but pretty grippy, so it's going to be probably quite a huge train until the end of the race, really. It's going to be quite hard to win that one. It's going to be a lot of thinking, a lot of positioning yourself at the correct time.
Well, we know that with patience comes the opportunity, but when you got guys that are a little bit hungry, you never know what you're going to expect, but we know that you'll be ready, and congratulations on fighting back and getting back to the second spot and having an opportunity, but we know that was probably a heck of a mountain to climb, and I'm sure you're ready to move on to the next one, so congrats on the runner-up today.
All right, thank you, and good GG to Sean.
And we're going to go about Sean right now, actually. That was ESV Barcode second overall, and Sean has responded to the questions. First question, I said, how much fun was it? He said he had great pace and he was able to hold off so many people. His response was, I knew I had good pace going into the race, but you absolutely never know how much pace some of these other guys will be able to extract on race day. I've been shocked many times in the past by the top guys. I went on to ask him how does he feel as he heads into the next 4 weeks. He said, if I continue to have races like that, I may not make it to the end of the season. I was absolutely pushed to my limit there, and while I'd like an easier race next week, I hope I can find myself in the fight for the next win again. He said and then I asked him, I said, it seems like he's kind of get back in the form. He went on to say that it's hard to say if I'm back. I still have a lot of problems that I have identified, and it will be hard. It'd be a hard task to improve on them, but when I found myself in first with a nice gap, I did feel fantastic and like I'm finally getting somewhere. So Sean feeling a lot better than he was during the GT Championship Series run and getting his first win in a couple of years. And like I said, this could be anyone's championship. Right now, Mgeza took a major hit today after missing the fuel strategy. And again, Sean and Barcode going at it again in the top 2 spots. This time it goes to Sean. But next week we move on, new race to be made, and we'll find out if we'll get another new winner or a repeated winner. So again, it's F1R Sean with the race win today, ESV Barcode second, third ESV Pipes, fourth Dex Cadillo, and rounding out your top 5, PTG Little Caesar. I'm SSR Mayhem. Thank you for tuning in to round number 2 of the MEA Prototype Challenge here at Road America. We'll see you next week, same time, same place, different track. Have a good night, everybody.